Former IEBC Commissioner Dr Roselyn Akombe has caused quite a stir in Kenya with her recent tweets, especially the one where she claims that Ezra Chiloba, the former Chief Executive Officer of the IEBC, Independent Elections and Boundary Commission, warned her against testifying in an inquiry into the death of former IEBC computer guru Chris Msando. I find it super fascinating that this is unfolding at around the same time that Oburu Oginga, older brother to Raila Odinga, has come out and is on record as having said that they are ready to win the next elections using the system. And they have lost all other previous elections despite winning by the majority votes, but they've never gone to State House because they ignored something else very important, more important than gathering the majority votes, and that is the system. Now, those remarks by Oburu have angered many Kenyans, which is strange, but admittedly human nature. What do I mean? Well, what Oburu said is not news. A vast majority of Kenyans are already fully aware of what he said. Indeed, he stated the obvious, about the system. And in case you didn't know, it is not possible to win a presidential election anywhere on this planet, unless you either beat the system or get the system to work with you. That is a political fact. Even in the United States of America. Anyway, my point is, people should not be angry. They should not be provoked by such remarks. But since they are human and subject to human nature, they are. It's just like in a family where there's one of the children who is illegitimate. That is, he or she came from the same mother. But he or she has a different father from the rest of you. And everybody in the family knows that. It's a fact. But then, people could still get livid if you happen to bring it up. It's human nature. It is the truth, but it's still annoying. I get that. And I hope most of you also get it. Now, most believe that Chris Msando died because he was doing his job. And part of his job was blocking the system from interfering with the election results. Now, I've done a lot of digging, and according to the information I have, I can confirm to you that these two separate events were not choreographed to happen at around the same time. And that is why I find it super fascinating that they've actually happened. They've actually unfolded at around the same time, which would seem to confirm the theory of some that the ghost of Chris Msando is still very much hard at work for justice. However, I have a slightly different view. My view is that it is the season for exposure. And we all know that sometimes exposure leads to overturns. Overturn, overturn, overturn. You remember that prophecy? You will also remember the way I put it on this channel. That Almighty God is shaking the tree called Kenya very vigorously. And the only thing that will survive on that tree is that which cannot be shaken. So, what is Roselyn Akombe's motive for bringing up all this history, some would call it ancient history, to the fore? What may be her motive? What is the point of bringing all this up now? Yes, we know she brought it up at the anniversary of the passing on of Bwana Msando, gallant patriotic Kenyan. Yes, we know that. But we have had at least 2 other anniversaries of the passing on of Msando, that she ignored. Why this one? I think the answer is, it is the season. It is the season we are in right now. And when a season comes, people's conscience weighs heavily on them. Because obviously Dr. Akombe knows a lot. She has not told us about the passing on of Chris Msando. You know, one of the things that stood out for me during this very dark chapter in our history was how affected Dr. Akombe was shortly after she viewed the body of her colleague. I believe there are pictures online, which you can find. And if you look at her, you realize that she was shaken, she was touched, she was sad, she was grief-stricken, etc., etc., at the death of Chris Msando. And this neatly explains what happened to her after the death of Msando. Things were never the same again. First, her brother had to flee the country. And then she followed him into exile a few weeks later. Which seems to tell us that she had information, which her emotions, her conscience could not allow her to sit on, to keep silent about. And many Kenyans expected her to open up and find a way to legally release this information. But she wisely remained very cautious in the few interviews she gave in exile. And now it would seem that either something has changed or some things have changed, or her conscience has just weighed down on her too much, so much so that she has to bring up this issue yet again. And indeed, even in bringing it up again, she is still cautious. She is not doing what the mafia used to call singing like a bird. She's not singing. She's not. But what Ezra Chiloba did, in my view, had the effect of sending an even bigger, louder message to Kenyans. Because everybody's asking, why did Chiloba warn her against testifying in the Msando inquiry? Why? It can only mean that what she knows, Ezra Chiloba also knows. But there's also something else, even more fascinating. The fact that Dr. Akombe is very seriously suggesting that Msando's colleagues, instead of protecting one of their own, betrayed him, led him to slaughter. Well, I don't know much, but this much I know. A widow's curse. If a widow curses you, it doesn't matter how many nuclear weapons you have at your beck and call. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. Because a widow's curse is serious. Granted, I'm old-fashioned and I have no apologies to make. But I know a widow's curse is serious, extremely serious. And I've advised on this channel many times before. There are 2 groups of people you should never, ever mess around with. Somebody called an orphan, doesn't have a father and a mother, and somebody called a widow. Because in this life, some things can deceive you. This orphan is powerless. Yeah, they don't know anybody important. They are powerless. They are nothing. They're just an orphan. And they're even poor. They don't have any money. The widow is powerless. She can do nothing. She is a woman. She has no money. And therefore you may be fooled into thinking that a curse from a widow or an orphan means nothing. Yeah? Well, you tell me. Tell old-fashioned Chris what has happened in Kenya since the curse of Ezra Msando. Have we had any peace as a country? Even something that looked as solid as the BBI, has it had peace? Well, if you think we have had peace, if you think everything has been okay, that is okay. I have no issues with that. But my advice is let us wait a little longer to prove if what I'm saying is indeed true or it is just mumbo jumbo from superstitious, old-fashioned Chris Kumekucha. Let's wait and see. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.